you'd like. But I'll do what I can, and hope that you'll respect the fact that we're competing. And we got to keep our information to ourselves as much as we can at this time, because that's really of great value to us. So hopefully we're disciplined and good at it, and you guys can take your shots and do whatever you need to, but more than welcome to take on whatever you want. But it's a big time of year, and so it's fun to be here at the Combine.
You talked about that kind of the decision that you guys always have, but moving on from Kenny Norton.
Yeah, first let me say that I love Kenny Norton. We've been friends and cohorts for a long time, and really is a classic illustration of the decisions that are difficult at this time of the year. I've been edging for some time now to make some adjustments as we go, which is always what we're doing, and then how many adjustments, how big and how significant are they, are the ones that can determine your effectiveness. And sometimes you have to make these kinds of decisions and let somebody go. But I love him. I'm fired up about everything except for he's at UCLA, and being an old Trojan, I can't accept that. But he's going to make it hard on the Trojans, I know. Well, what we did do is we made a really significant move in giving Clint this opportunity to be the defensive coordinator, where he has been a big factor on our staff since he's been with us. He has been a guy I've leaned on all the time. We made him assistant head coach to help me with all of the challenging team decisions that we make, that do affect the defensive side of the ball, but both sides of the football. He's a great thinker. He's tough. He's creative. He's got a really good background, deep background in an area. The reason that I liked hiring him when we did was because of the people that he had worked with and worked under, and it gave him a really diverse approach to the game, and he learned real well. So the scheme that we adjust and the things that we do and the adaptations that we make will fit, with Clint's background. I think can really keep him strong. He'll do a marvelous job for us. What you saw us do also is hire Sean Desai, where they have common background as well, and they've been together, and Clint was a big part of that hiring, and also a big part of attracting Sean to us. He was very, very much sought after by a number of clubs. He had all kinds of interviews. He was all over the place, and we were fortunate to get him, and we put him in a position where he has a good deal of influence scheme-wise and tactically and in all ways. And so I really like that combination. I think he is a featured back-end guy, coverage-oriented guy, linebackers and safeties and all that. And so those two guys together will give us a great 1-2 punch. We also we just recruited and competed, and we're very fortunate to get Carl Scott to come. Carl was just as hot as you can get with coaches, putting together new staffs. They did everything they could to keep him there in Minnesota. His background is maybe not as revealing as who he is and how he approaches his game and what he brings. The connection between scheme with his background and Sean's was very significant and was really important in the decision. And then we just had to compete and get it done, and Clint did a great job to close that. And so there's going to be a strong influence on our side of the ball in defense that will take us to some places that I've been really hoping to get to. We've been making our moves subtly, but now we can make it more significantly, and I think our players are going to really like it. Meetings so far have been great. The creativity and the challenge of it all has been. I've just been thrilled with. It should be real obvious. Yeah, forever in my coaching, I've always looked at young guys and develop them and bring them up, and once you get to know who they are and what they're all about, try to push them where they're strong and where they're capable and all, and where it seems obvious. And he was one of those guys. He came in with Shane to give Shane support schematically and to help us transition, and he did all of that. And I just saw his impact and his connection with our players is just too significant to keep him out of the fundamental interaction that he can have with players, the effect that he can have. So it was a natural move in that regard. Again, another difficult decision with a guy I love. We worked with Mike Solari, beautiful coach, beautiful man, and all that. But this was just, it was part of the move and moving forward and developing really and accenting really the best thing that Shane brings as the leader of offense. So it was a good move, for us, and so he does have good relationships with his players. He's very demanding, very technique-oriented, scheme-centered, and it's just the continuity is just it's just too good to not put together.
Hey, what's your plan for?
Yeah. It will affect us some. Yes, it will, and I don't think it has anything to do with what we're doing with Mike or that, because Mike can coach everything. But I think it'll just keep us tighter and keep us more focused on the stuff that we did really well. The things that they brought were the best part of our run game, and so I'm really excited about why we hired them, and then it showed up and it worked statistically, and it carried out and all of that. So we'll just build from that more.
Hey, what's your plan for Bobby Wagner?
Well, we expect to play with Bobby. We love playing with Bobby. He's been a great player, another great season. At this time of year, there's a lot of guys that are in a position where we got to figure out where everybody fits together. And Bobby has been such a steady part of it. We'd love to be able to play with him, so we'll work towards that if we can do that. We'll do it. Yeah. I love talking about this one. This is such an exciting story because it was so obvious. It was so obvious once he was able to sustain from one day to the next day to a week to another week and feel really good about his body, and he finally had recovered. And he had a major recovery from a major injury that just took a finely tuned, like a Ferrari. It just had to be all tuned up just right. Once he got going, he ripped, and he had a huge impact on our offense, on the running game in particular. And his explosiveness was just so obvious. It just jumped at us. He rushed for 700-something yards in 5 games, which is crazy. And his confidence just soared. He goes into the offseason feeling the best he's felt in the last 3 years. He's off to a great start. He's working hard. He's determined and disciplined and wants to come back, and we want to get him back and all that. His explosiveness just jumped out, and the ability to break tackles, run aggressive in downfield, and then turn good opportunities into great opportunities and touchdowns. Just obvious. And of course, it's rewarding for us because we drafted him, in a high spot way back when, and to see him explode at this time and really show who he is, what he's all about. It was really a thrill, and our players love to see that emergence and that shift, in his impact. So hopefully we can get him back. Another very difficult challenge. Get him back. He's a free agent.
DK Metcalf tweeted he had surgery or said he had surgery recently. What's his prognosis?
Yeah, they fixed a surgery that he had in his foot a couple years back. They just had to go in there and adjust some stuff in his foot. It bothered him all year long, and that's why I told you that we were not able to practice him. He practiced 1 day a week and a couple walkthroughs, and we always had to be guarded just to maintain his progress, which is not what was best for him. He needed to be working. He needed to be out there. It would have helped us and helped himself too. He knew it. And we all knew it. There was just nothing we could do about it. He did everything he could, and he did admirably, remarkably well. But you can only get so much done. He's still a young player. He's still a developing player, and he'll get better. Which brings me to a thought that we brought in, we returned Sanjay Lal to our club, who had a significant role in what we're doing offensively. He had a big impact on us before he left, and the chance to get him back and to work with our guys on that side of the ball should be a real positive for us, and brings us another kind of an interesting look. He's been with us. He knows us. He went away. He came back. He's going to be a big factor in helping us grow. At this time of year, there's conversations about everybody. We talk about everybody, and that's commonplace for us to have conversations with teams about all of the players, particularly marquee players, and that's not changed. It's been the same every year we've been here. So it's the same as it's been. We have no intention of making any move there, but the conversations, John has to feel those he always has, but nothing specific.
Awesome players. Without a doubt, you're always looking. But you don't look at it like I need the next Debo. Debo wasn't found by looking for Debo. You look for.
Really, everything we do is designing rushing the passer because it all happens right there. And so everything we can do to make advancements is what's at hand. What normal 3-4 teams do is they use their 2 outside guys to be their ends when they rush the passer with their 4-man rushes on third down and 2-minute situations. We've done that already. That's not new for us. That's why the change is not that drastic in that regard. But the idea is to really accent the edge rushers, and try to get more out of those guys to accent what the guys are doing inside. So we're going to continue to develop. Carlos had a really good finish to the season last year, a good push at the end of the year, as he did the year before. He became a significant rusher for us. We'd love to have him be an increasing role. We love what Darrell Taylor does, and he's going to be all over it, and he'll be part of everything that we're doing. He's an outside linebacker that can rush the passer, and so all of that fits just right. We brought in Alton Robinson, a year ago in the draft. To see what he can add to it. He's involved in it, and we're just going to continue to try to develop that. So that's what the draft is about and free agency is about. We're going to try to keep going. I'm not going to talk about the specific guys, but that's always our intention, is to improve that. But also, we're going to focus on trying to develop our inside rush too, and our guys. We're playing pretty big. We have big dudes that play and stop the run and do a great job, and they're not expected to be big factors in the pass rush. We'll take whatever we can get from them, but we need to continue to develop that. And that's a big area of focus for us.
What are you trying to do with center and tackle?
First off, we want to get our guys back as best we can. We're trying to get our guys back. So that's where it starts. We'll see what happens. We don't know right now. We like our guys. We think that the opportunity to grow with them and continue would help us. We got to see what happens. And so this time right now is really specifically directed for John. He's trying to check out our roster, talk to all the agents, make sure that we can know where everybody sits with us, and to try to see where we have to go because of our opportunity to keep our guys. So we start with our own guys. That's what we're trying to get No, we're not doing meditation right now. No, we're wide open. That might be a good idea. It might not be a good idea. It just depends on how things fit. We got to get Matt Thomas to do his magic with the numbers. We've always been really strict with what we've done. We've always spent all of our money. We're very competitive and creative in those areas, and we need to do that again to get to maximize our ops this time around.
Based on what you've heard, will Quandre be ready to go by training camp before you?
I don't think there's any doubt. That's all he's thinking about. He'll be back before then, I would think.
How about Chris Carson?
We really want to get him back.
Chris Carson, did he update on that?
That his workouts are going well. He's in good spirits. He's looking forward to playing and getting back and all that. Anytime you have a neck surgery, it's obviously very intricate and all. We got to see how that works out. How much I've always loved Chris. I'd love to get him back if we can get him back.
Hey, Pete, surprised at how much questions you had about Russell's procedure this offseason?
How little questions we got about it?
How much has been out there? Are you surprised about how much conversation?
Well, no, because last year it was out there like twice as much. So this is, so no, I'm not surprised.
Hey, Pete.
Look at it's the quarterback world right now. They're talking about all of them, and you guys are doing everything you can to try to figure it out. And that's what you got to do.
Hey.
So there's a lot of people taking shots, a lot of lines in the water right now, trying to guess and see what's going to happen.
Hey, Pete, with the defensive adjustments you're talking about, a lot of